everyone, welcome back to the DLC's YouTube channel. My name is Lauren and today we're going to be talking about some effective study strategies. Maybe you're a little bit stressed about final season coming up. This is going to be a great resource for you to keep on watching to learn the 4 different steps about choosing and using effective study strategies. So let's get started. The first step is going to be self-reflection. Let's ask ourselves some questions like, do I study the same way for all of my classes? Do I like my current study methods? And do they work? All of these questions are really important to ask yourself to see if your studying is actually effective right now. If it's not effective, we're going to talk about ways to change that. We need to move from that passive studying to that active studying. So passive studying is going to be more of that looking at your notes, just reading things, maybe rewatching lectures, but we really need to move into that active studying, which is creating material while you're studying. So making flashcards, making study sheets, all of the things that we're going to talk about in this activity and this video are actually going to be active study strategies. So these are going to be a lot more beneficial for you in terms of retaining information long term. Now let's scope it out. So this is where you ask yourself what type of questions are going to be on your exam. This can be multiple choice, this can be essay questions, this can be short answer, this can be fill in the blank, maybe true, false. Maybe you're wondering, well, how do I know which kinds of questions are going to be on your exam? This is a great time to drop into office hours and talk to your professor about what to expect on your exam, what kind of question type will be on your exam. Maybe another resource that you can use is also going back into your old tests, seeing what the expectations were there, and seeing if you notice any patterns between a section of multiple choice, a section of true, false, and maybe a few short answer at the end. The different types of questions that you'll be asked on an exam kind of helps you to know which type of study strategy to use, especially if you're going to be taking those true-false questions. Maybe you can make flashcards to test yourself on those. If you're going to be taking an essay test, maybe writing out some of the prompts that you'll have on those essay questions can be super helpful to study that way. All of these good resources to use are going to be super helpful to understanding what kinds of study strategies you should use. So we really recommend understanding what kinds of questions are going to be on your exam before you get started deciding how to study. Next, we want to talk about selecting your strategies. So this is really based on what your answer was to the previous step. So if you're taking those multiple choice questions, you should be quizzing yourself, you should be practicing to answer those questions, you should be looking over your PowerPoints, you should be looking over your notes, quizzing yourself on those, rewriting those. All of those good things are really important study strategies. The next thing you want to do is think about, besides question type, what kind of questions are going to be asked. So there are 3 different types of questions that we talk about, which are analysis, synthesis, and application questions. So analysis is going to be where you're taking multiple sources of information and seeing how they correlate to each other. How does X affect Y? So synthesis questions are going to be a layer on top of analysis. This is going to be your what would happen if question, where you'll have to understand how 2 things work together to create a hypothetical situation. So that really affects the way that you're going to study. Are you going to answer questions? Are you going to think about what could happen in the future? Are you going to think about how multiple topics relate to each other and create connections and meanings between those 2 topics? It's really important to understand the difference between analysis and synthesis. Synthesis is going to be that what would happen if, and analysis is going to be how do X and Y correlate together. Finally, we're going to have those application questions. Those will be different study strategies than you would use to study analysis and synthesis. Maybe you're going to work more on practice problems. Maybe you're not going to spend so much time on understanding the connection between different concepts. You're just going to understand that something affects something, and this is the answer. And finally, we're going to set a plan. So setting a plan can include things like setting a 5-day study plan. Look for Grace's video on that because it's going to have a lot more information than this video will. We really recommend that you do take breaks while you're studying and look at material and focus on material for a good 30 minutes and then take a break. It's going to be more beneficial for you to interact with the material in those short 30-minute bursts a few times a day for the entire week leading up to the exam than it would be for you to sit down in the library for 2 hours and cram right before the exam. So getting organized and creating that 5-day study plan, creating times to sit down and study is going to take that worry off of, oh, when am I going to study? How do I study? Having that plan is really going to help you stay motivated, help you get excited about studying, and help you really work towards achieving those good grades. Some other things to consider while you're setting a plan is to also use retrieval practice, which can be really awesome for helping you take that exam or take that practice exam in a setting like the real exam would be. So you want to take it timed, you want to not use your notes, you want to put your phone away, and then as always, you can go back and correct your answers, correct your choices, and see what you maybe got wrong. That's a really great way to gauge how you're studying. And we recommend it for whatever type of test that you're going to take, regardless of question type. The bottom line here is that you just want to make sure that whatever study strategy you're using really tests your ability to recall information instead of just looking at the notes passively like we talked about earlier. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please look out on our website for more awesome videos about study strategies and how to utilize the study strategies that we talked about today after you choose them.